like water serpents and flying beasts, and I will take anything that Tamora Pierce says is wonderful, and you touch them and you read the back and you're like, I want to read you right now. Hi, hello team, my name is Monique. Welcome back to the Cauldron, where we today are going to go through some books that I absolutely did mean to read in 2020. In case you weren't aware, this is Bookwitch Reviews, my channel, and in 2020 I read quite a lot of books. I am rather proud of myself. I found some new favorites, I found some very bingeable series, I also left off some books on my TBR that I definitely should have read. So today, here are 10 books that I meant to read this year, and somehow stuff got in the way and it just didn't happen. So, let's go. This first book is a TBR veteran, which means that it is a book that has been on my TBR, I believe, for the longest. And it is The Tiger and the Wolf by Adrian Tchaikovsky, which is a book that I have had for years, literal years. You can literally see, it's very brown. I think I bought this in 2016 before. I used to write the date in here. I need to start doing that again so I remember when I get things. And I got halfway through and it wasn't that I hated it, but I also didn't love it. And then somehow I put it aside and I read something else and then I just forgot about it. So now this is a book that will be read in 2021. And if I haven't read it in 2021, it is going to go out. It will not stay here because I will not continuously force myself to read books just because I've had them for a long time, because I do that. Anyway, this is a high adult fantasy novel where we follow a young girl who is the daughter of sort of two clans. She is daughter of the Wolf clan and the Tiger clan, and in these clans you can shapeshift, and her mother was sort of brought in as a bride, and her father is now, I believe, trying to kill her. I'm not entirely sure. We're also following some sort of other warriors. Basically, the land is in uproar because magic is fading. Stuff ensues. I really do want to read it, and I do love this cover, but at the same time, from what I remember, it was also sort of hard to just sort of remember, and I just remember it being very violent, which we know I don't have a problem with, but this is a book that I absolutely must read next year. Next up is a book that has been on my TBR twice this year, once in February and once in July, and that is The Windwitch by Chupeco, which is a series that I have desperately wanted to read. I only have it in ebook, but it is one of those books that just like, it calls to me, and it calls to me because it deals with necromancy, and I love that kind of stuff. It deals with witches, it has a witch in the title, that's what we want. And basically in The Windwitch we follow T, who accidentally resurrects her brother and proves that she has this necromancy which is feared and ostracized in her land, but she gets sort of adopted or taken in by an older bone witch who takes her to another land for studying. And basically there is a war coming and T can maybe help win it, and it just sounds so good. I've heard only amazing things about this series. I've read one other Chupeco book, which is, what is it called again? The Never Tilting World, and I actually really enjoyed it. So I'm really hoping that I can get around to this series soon. Next up is a book that has come in from one of my book boxes, and this is All the Stars and Teeth by Adelyn Grace, which is an Owl Crate book. It has some stunning changes to its cover, and I believe that this is a book where we follow and sort of heir to this island kingdom who has soul magic, but something goes wrong on the day that she is meant to take over for her mother, and so she sets out with this ragtag crew of like almost pirates to find their magic so that they will help her take back her kingdom. And I have heard good things and bad things. It is very YA, but I do love this cover, and it does seem like it's a sort of fun loving little adventure thing, and I do love magic. It was on my April TBR and got swapped out, I believe, for a Tamora Pierce book because that's just who I am, but I am hoping to get around to a lot more of my book box books like next year, because I actually used to be quite good about reading them quite after I got them. But as you know, my TBR has grown slightly, so I need to pull together. Next is another book that has shown up on my TBR twice this year, and it is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winters, which I both had in ebook and just recently have gotten in an actual physical format, because I also have the second book on ebook as an e-arc. And these are fat adult fantasies, and I sort of need a break from e-reading sometimes, so I need to be able to swap, but I do want to read both the first and the second book. This is a high adult fantasy where we follow, what is his name? Tao? Where we follow Tao, who is a soldier in this sort of world that is constantly at war, but all Tao wants is to sort of just find a farm, settle down, have a family. However, he loses his entire family in a sort of murderous plot, and so he sets out to become the very best swordsman there is so that he can take revenge on those who harmed his loved ones. I believe there's also something about dragons and one woman in several generations who can call them down. There are also these like almost berserker warriors who have the ability to become as strong as 10 men. However, Tao, I don't believe, is either of these and just works really hard. It is meant to be heartbreaking and also quite a violent series, but one that is apparently very, very good. I also believe that Evan Winters self-published this initially and then has since been picked up by a regular publisher. And we're now going into the last book of the books that have actually been on my TBR, and that is Angel Mage by Garth, which is another book subscription box book. This is an Illumicrate edition. It is a book that I was very, very, very excited about once I heard that it was coming out. However, after that I got a little bit comprehensive about it because I heard mixed feelings. And basically this is sort of like almost like a villain story. In it we follow, I believe, an immortal who wakes up and is trying to almost resurrect her old loved one, and to do so she needs these prophesized children who she is sort of trying to mold into what she wants. I am not entirely sure whether or not the main character Lilith is actually a good character or a bad character, but I was very excited about it. However, as I mentioned, I'm a little bit like scared that it's gonna be not what I want. But however, it is a book that has been chilling on my TBR cart for way too long. My girlfriend is being very suspicious about it and I need to read it. The last 4 books on this list are books that I just feel like they've been chilling on my TBR shelf for a little bit too long, and they are books that I would very much like to get to, so I'm going to prioritize them for next year. And the first one is the first and second book actually of the Sweet Black Waves series by Kristin Perez. This is a book that I got at Yalk last year before that. I don't know. I got it because it's a Tristan and Isolde retelling, but with magic. Tristan and Isolde is a old sort of Norse, almost romantic fairy tale, or is it Shakespeare? I'm not entirely sure. It's basically almost like Romeo and Juliet. You come from warring fractions, and our main character in this book isn't actually either Tristan or Isolde. It is the friend who has these magic powers and I believe is trying to help her best friend, the princess, who I believe takes the role of Isolde. And she is just trying to help them be together, but things are ensuing, stuff is happening, there is star-crossed lovers, and I'm very excited about reading it because I've heard nice things about it, and I also have the second book. I just need to get to it. I believe there's a third. I believe it's a trilogy. Next is a series that I've wanted to read for a while, and I read the first book this year, and then I actually meant to immediately afterwards to pick up the second book, which is Windwitch by Susan Dennard. This is the Truth Witch series, or the Witchlands novels, and there are 4 books currently. There is a 5th book coming out next year. I believe that's called Shadow Witch. I'm very excited about this series. I really enjoyed the first one. It wasn't quite a 5-star, but it was a solid 4-star with some really great characters and an amazing magic system. And this is the sequel following these 2 witches, one of them being a Truth Witch and the other one being a Wind Witch, or a Thread Witch. She's a Thread Witch. And basically they are best friends and they are both just trying to survive and keep together. And our Truth Witch comes from riches and our Thread Witch comes from sort of a more humble background, but they are sisters in everything. And basically the world is getting thrown into chaos and there's some really beautiful magic involved. And I really want to read the rest of the series. I also really love these hardcovers and I am desperate to have all of them in my hands. Second to last book is The Waking Land by Callie Bates, which is a book that I have wanted to read for so long. I also found it incredibly hard to find it, and then all of a sudden I found it downstairs in my charity book, and I was literally like, this is my child. I wanted to have it because Tamora Pierce blurbed it, okay? I don't think you can get any better than that, and that's what I know. Let's read inside. It's been 14 years since King Antonin took Elena hostage. Okay, that's the main character. 14 years since her father's rebellion failed. 14 years spent being raised by the man who condemned her people to misery, a man she's come to love as a father. Now 20, Elena is about to be taken prisoner once again, but this time by her father's mysterious right-hand man. Her father wants to reignite his rebellion with Elena as a figurehead. He will tell his followers she is the legendary Wildegard reborn, a sorceress who could make the very earth tremble. But what no one knows is that magic really does flow through Elena's veins. Now she must decide which side she's on and whether she'll use her powers for mercy or for revenge. And Tamora Pierce is on the inside saying, a heartbreaking, enchanting, edge of deceit read that held me captive from start to finish. And I will take anything that Tamora Pierce says is wonderful and I will read it. And this is on the top of my TBR for 2021, especially because I just read the inside and I want to read it really badly right now. And last but not least is another book that I actually got this year, but is a book that I have been keeping my eye on for quite a while. And that is The Beast Player by Nahoko Uehashi. Not sure I pronounced that correctly, but I did try. And this is like, you know, magical beasts and wonderful sort of like family revenge, and I am here for it. And basically our main character's mother is the caregiver of this almost like magical menagerie for a kingdom, and at one point these big magical creatures are dying and her mother gets blamed for it, so she sends away her daughter to safety, but her daughter tries to save her back and she becomes like, I believe, friends with some like water serpents and flying beasts, basically trying to protect them like she wanted to protect her mother. And I just desperately want to read this book. And this is how I feel about all my books. You know, when you stare at your TBR and you're like, this is okay, and then you pick them up and you touch them and you read the back and you're like, I want to read you right now. That's a problem for me. And here we go, team. Here on 9 books that I actually meant to read this year and then just didn't get around to, even though I did beat my Goodreads goal this year early as well, so I'm like very much on point with it. But it's just one of those things that, you know, once you get enrolled in the Booktube and Bookstagram community, you just want to read all the time and you want to read all of the babies, but you just don't have enough time because you have to work like an adult, and that hurts. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully all of these books will be read by next year, so we will have a sort of come back to it video saying obviously what I thought of these videos, because I enjoy doing those kind of videos. So if you did enjoy this, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button at the same time so you don't miss out on any other videos from me. You can also click the little bell, which will give you a notification when I put up a new video, which is regularly. Take care of yourself, remember that I am proud of you, and leave me a comment down below to tell me which book you really did mean to read in 2020. And I'll see you guys really soon with another video. Bye. Hopefully I will love them, because it will be really shit that I've been hanging on to these books for quite a while and I hate them.